This is the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast with Sal and Sam, a new podcast for engaged couples concerned about wedding planning and family expectations but want a stress-free, fun, and unforgettable wedding.
Hi, I'm Sal Fusco of After Hours Events of New England. In my 40 years, I've performed at over 3,500 weddings. Working consistently keeps me in tune with the wedding industry.
Hi, I'm Sam from Atmosphere Productions Disc Jockey Service. I've been DJing since the mid-70s in radio, nightclubs, and thousands of weddings, helping and interacting with hundreds of engaged couples.
Welcome to the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast.
Wedding scams. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Wedding season is here, and scams associated with weddings are almost as common as bad bridesmaid dresses. What are the top 3 wedding scams to look out for? What are the red flags?
By the time this edition is over, you'll know how to spot a wedding scam and understand how to keep your hard-earned money in your pocket.
With over 80 years of combined wedding experience and insider information, this is Stress-Free Wedding Planning with your hosts, Sal and Sam, a new podcast for engaged couples who are stressed about wedding planning and family expectations, but want to have a fun wedding. Listen now for revealing wedding insider secrets, tips, and strategy or lesson that you'll be able to implement for a stress-free wedding. Information that you just can't miss and may just change your life. Take the journey with us from worry and concern to a stress-free and unforgettable wedding day. The Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast with Sal and Sam.
Learn more about our journey to help you with stress-free wedding planning in the trailer or pilot of this podcast.
In today's edition, getting married and having a wedding is exciting.
However, planning a wedding can be hectic and costly, and it can become costlier and more hectic if you fall victim to a wedding scam or fraud. Be on the lookout for red flags to prevent being scammed.
What are those red flags? We'll answer that question, but first, if you have a question or concern, go now to Facebook and join us on the Stress-Free Wedding Planning community and ask away.
You know, wedding planning is cumbersome. However, when the right team of service providers and suppliers comes together for your wedding day, it's hassle-free, and everything turns out better than you envisioned. Remember to do your due diligence, though, to hire that right team. Be on the lookout for red flags to prevent being scammed. Here's a PSA for you. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So don't trust a business that outsources instead of investing in your own community by hiring local vendors. Shop local.
Yes, yes, yes. And I can't say it enough times. There's a lot of these out-of-state companies, Sam, that say,
are.
oh, we're going to give you photography, we're going to give you video, and we're going to give it to you all for $2,000. And then what you find out is that they outsourced all this stuff. They found someone in Connecticut that is willing to shoot at the cheapest possible rate, or they actually con the photographer and videographer into going to do the job, and no one gets paid and no one gets a product.
That's the reason why I said that we should shop local. And I know you agree with me on this because local vendors not only know the location and the facility that you're going to be at, but they also know what not to do. If, for instance, you get an out-of-state company, they are just going to hire the cheapest because obviously they want to make as much money. And the cheapest person is not necessarily going to be the best. You need to ask before you hire these companies, who is my photographer? Who is my DJ? Who is the person I'm going to be working with? And if they can't give you a name right up front, run.
I've had couples who said, I didn't know who my photographer or my videographer was going to be literally until 3 days before the wedding. And let me tell you, I'm having heartburn. I'm so worried for them. And sometimes the sweet talker on the other side of the line for that company has got this couple totally calm for some reason. And they're okay with it until they found out they've been bamboozled.
Right. Now, let's take the photography and video angle of this, because this is the one that recently we had a large company go bankrupt, and they hired out wedding photographers and videographers. They were a company that was not in the state of Connecticut, but hired photographers and video. You have to remember that Wedding photography and videography is actually a luxury service. You don't need it for you to complete your wedding. So understand that there are overheads that go with this. And Sal, it's just like you and me. We pay business insurance, we pay
Yeah.
business licenses, accounting fees, we do sales and marketing, but we do that in the state of Connecticut. We pay gas, our internet service, and the biggest thing is our equipment. Me personally, I have an insurance policy that covers my equipment up to $15,000. That's what I bring to just one gig. So, can you imagine the cost that a photographer brings with their expensive cameras, their laptops, their hard drives, their backup cameras? So, why would a professional photographer go out for $200 or $300?
They won't. And you said the key word there, professional.
Yes.
What you usually end up with is an amateur, someone who's just trying to get into the business. Do you want your biggest day to be in the hands of that type of person?
Yeah, somebody who's never done this before. You might be lucky. Let's not
Oh,
knock the amateurs that are just starting out because you obviously have to start somewhere. But you need to know that up front. And this method of big companies hiring other people to do weddings, they're not telling you that. You're getting the impression that the pictures that they show you online is the photographer or videographer that's going to show up. That is not true.
and I've had the instance too where, they did send somebody to shoot, but it turned out not even being the person that was mentioned to the couple. Oh, something happened to that person. They couldn't be there. We got somebody else to make it look like, oh, we had a backup plan. But when you do further investigation, you found out the original person was not the person that was coming to start with.
Also remember that professionals take a lot of time to do your wedding. So for every hour that a photographer or video or filmmaker is at your wedding, I think they've calculated it to be 2 to 3 hours of editing. And for every engagement shoot, that could be 6 to 10 hours of editing. Every client requires that amount of time to be spent on them. And if you're just hiring a company that's going to hire somebody else, they're not going to spend that extra time being careful with your pictures, making sure they have the right shots, making sure that every picture on your shot list was taken. I can guarantee you that they are not going to spend the amount of time that a professional would doing all of these different shots that you want. They're going to try and do it as quickly and as cheaply as possible because they're not getting paid what a normal professional does.
Not at all. And it's something Sam and I have talked about in the past is having that shoot list, meaning, you're gonna have a list of the different pictures you want for that day. Now, if you're explaining this to someone who's not even going to be there, the problem is when it's translated to another person, it
Yes.
may not come off the same. So
Yes.
now this person's trying to read off a paper, and just because they didn't talk to you and they didn't go over all these things could be misconstrued and you're not getting what you expected. And it's not always the fault of that person. It's because there's a breakup in the communication.
Yeah, and you end up with unedited, poor quality photos, and more than likely than not, you're going to see the engagement shots and you see that they're crap, and then you're going to want to hire somebody else. So you've gone down this road with this company, and then in the end, you have to flip over and hire a real professional. Remember, a local photographer is accountable for poor service because they know word of mouth is everything. Just like you and I, Sal, I do my utmost that I don't get a bad review because word of mouth is a killer for me. But these
Oh, yeah.
services, they don't care about that. They're not even in the state of Connecticut. They're in Middle West Bend, Illinois, where you can't go to their office and knock on the door and ask to speak to somebody. But if it's a local photographer, you sure can. It doesn't guarantee you everything, but it sure goes a long way.
No, your chances are so much greater in getting what you really want too. So we've been picking out photography a little. Videography is another thing. Very expensive equipment. Certain things that should be done to make sure your wedding is being covered the way you want it covered. Always important. Meet the person that's going to work with you. I can't emphasize that enough. Let that be the person you're communicating with throughout the process. right to the day of the wedding. That is how you're going to get a better product and feel more comfortable.
Also, if you can't physically meet, make sure you see actual samples of that person's work. So if it's a photographer or video, you're going to see their work. If it's a DJ, you can get references. You can call these references. You may even go to their website. I direct everybody to my website. Go to my website. You'll see videos. You'll see audio cuts. It's all on the website. Why? I love to share. I love my clients to know what I do. Don't trust businesses that outsource because they will not invest in the community. They're not going to invest in their website. They're going to try and do things the cheapest way. You always want to stay safe and not get scammed. As we said at the top of this, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Remember, each step of wedding planning is vulnerable to scammers, ranging from your fake wedding planners, shady venues, and unreliable vendors to even fake dresses and gowns. This is evidenced by the numerous negative reviews in various wedding vendors on review on wedding sites like pissconsumer.com. That's PISSEDCONSUMER.com. You'll be able to see all the vendors that are there that consumers are pissed at, and you can see if the company that you're about to hire is on there. Now, just because they're on there doesn't mean to say that you should not hire them, but you should go cautiously from that point onward. It should be a red flag to you that hiring your vendor may come with some difficulties. So when we come back, we're going to go over the top 3 wedding scams and how to avoid them.
You're listening to the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Podcast.
Wedding Tip Wednesday is brought to you by Emerge Cosmetics. Are you ready to emerge? A new line of luxurious lipsticks and lip glosses created with the intention of empowerment and coming into who you truly are. Strong, beautiful, and confident. Use coupon code EBI10 at shopemergecosmetics.com for an instant 10% discount. That's coupon code EBI10 for 10% discount at shopemergecosmetics.com. Emerge as the true you.
On today's Wedding Tip Wednesday, for your honeymoon, choose an all-inclusive adults-only honeymoon resort. Trust me, you'll want to really relax after your wedding. And who wants to have a bunch of yelling, screaming kids around you while you're trying to relax and having a romantic moment?
You want to go somewhere where you can relax. That's traditionally the idea of having a honeymoon. So why would children be involved in this scenario?
Think about it, everyone. When you were planning your wedding, you went through all that. You finally have your wedding day, and you just want to get away from everything and just kind of keep calm and have a great time together by yourselves. So going with adult only and making sure it's an adult only is a very good thing.
There are loads of all-inclusive adults-only honeymoon resorts for you to choose from all over the world. So why not do it?
There's a lot of great travel agents out there that deal with this type of thing. They deal with people who just got married. They know all these places. They are the best place to go. They have all the sources.
And if you join us on our community on Facebook, there are loads of resources for you to choose right from our community.
So just go to Facebook and look up Stress-Free Wedding Planning, and you'll find us. That's another tip from Sal and Sam.
Wedding Tip Wednesday is available on the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Facebook group page every Wednesday. Join the group for free.
Do you want access to a stress-free wedding planning process? Then go to our website, allthews.atmosphere-productions.com, and get my free report. 8 questions you must ask a wedding professional before booking them. Get it today. That's allthews.atmosphere-productions.com. Look for the free report and learn to shop like a pro from a pro and go from concern and worry to stress-free wedding planning.
Jewelry is one of those things you don't think about or really even care about until you venture into the uncharted waters of the jewelry world, especially for guys. It gets confusing pretty fast, and it doesn't help that you're going to spend a lot of money on something you're basically going to give away. It's nerve-wracking, and I get it. My name is Andy Kane, and I'm the 3rd-generation owner of Kane & Kane Jewelers and the creator and host of the Buy Like a Guy podcast. I've helped literally thousands of guys not only get through the buying process, but actually help them understand where the value of diamonds and fine jewelry come from, what quality looks like, and why something like jewelry matters in the first place. These are quick hit episodes that come out every Thursday, and it's a library of diamond and fine jewelry information that you can choose from based on what you want to know. There's no fluffy jewelry talk. I get right in there and tell it like it is. Ultimately, Buy Like a Guy is a podcast with the tools you need to buy an engagement ring, wedding rings, or other important jewelry with confidence. So go to buylikeaguy.com to listen and follow now.
Don't know what to do for your first dance? Is your future spouse having trouble picking a song to dance with their parent? Worry no more, I have the answer. Go to afterhoursevents.com/contact guest. That is CONTACTGUEST. And you'll be able to listen to hours of music to help you select the right songs for your upcoming wedding. Again, go to afterhoursevents.com/contact guest.
You said yes. Now the planning begins. The Norwich Inn Bridal Show is a must. Join us on Sunday, April 30th from 11 to 2. Win over $10,000 in grand prizes, a Caribbean giveaway, 3 sets of wedding bands, and $5,000 toward your wedding celebration at the Norwich Inn. Free goodie bags, gourmet food samples, entertainment, and so much more. Sponsored by Atlantic Coast Entertainment, Darius Trepka Photography, Dinner for Two, and the Stress Free Wedding Planning Podcast. Get your tickets at bridalshow@norwichinn.com. That's bridalshow@norwichinn.com.
Welcome back to the Stress Free Wedding Planning Podcast with Sal and Sam.
Welcome back to our discussion about scams in weddings. And one of the things we were just talking about was outsourcing, where you would get any vendor that's from out of state. You always go local because you just don't know what's happening out of state. You don't know what's real and what's not.
I'm Sam from Atmosphere Productions Disc Jockey Service. Weddings with expert knowledge and the difference in quality.
Hi, I'm Sal from After Hours Events of New England, the leader in making your wedding stress-free.
On this section, we're going to discuss the top 3 wedding scams and how to avoid them. And the top 3 are the wedding planner scam, the wedding venue scam, and finally the wedding dress scam. We're going to go through those, and we're going to start off with the wedding planner scam. And it basically is, you go to a wedding show or you see online a wedding planner that offers the cheapest rate for doing your entire consultation, all day, day of, it doesn't really matter. And they ask you for 50%, 70% of a deposit, and then the balance is paid on the day or 7 days or 30 days in advance. Here comes the scam. They don't show up. It's really as simple as that.
Simple as that.
They're not really wedding planners. They're just there to get your money.
Again, due diligence, finding out about this person that you were looking to hire as your wedding consultant or wedding planner.
Yeah, well, there's no foolproof way of avoiding scammers. I mean, it can happen to anyone. But there are some red flags that you should be aware of. Firstly, do they have a physical location? Secondly, their email, is it connected to a website, or is it just one of these free Yahoo accounts or Gmail accounts that connects to nothing? And the fact that they demanded a higher percentage up front. Typically, there is a third that most vendors will ask for. So there's 1/3 when you book, a third 90, 60 days before, and the final third is on the day, 7 days, 14, 30 days, depending on the vendor. If they ask for more than 25 or 30% as a down payment, run. It's a scam. Or you need to be careful. Isn't that what you've run into, Sal?
Yes, all the time. It seems to be the common formula. And it's just like when you hear these things, you should be running the other way because it seems like every time it happens, it turned out to be a scam and our couple has lost a lot of money, a big part of their budget, which is absolutely horrible. Now, the great thing, Sam, is when it comes to a wedding planner, you should be able to at least meet them at their office. Now, when you're meeting with a wedding planner and you're at their office, typically they have a number of items at their office that they could show off to you on what you could use at your wedding. And that could be anything from plate chargers to different fake flowers to candelabras to different napkins, colored napkins sometimes, even the table covers. Sometimes even tables that are fancy chairs for all these things that you could use to decorate your wedding.
If you can't have a physical meeting, then a virtual meeting is just as good. you'll be able to ask to see some of these samples, like a wedding invitation book, maybe, or their qualifications. They may even have, pictures on their walls, or they can show you certificates. These are the things that tell you that a wedding planner is for real. Once you start having hesitation in providing receipts or contracts, or you can't get in touch with them, or you call them on a Monday and they don't return your call until 2 weeks later, these are signs of a red flag that you should definitely be on the lookout for before you hire that type of wedding planner. Make sure you seek out wedding planners that have been recommended. Referrals are the best way. You can ask your vendors to help you, your venue, your photographer, your DJ. Most DJs work with planners all the time. They're happy to give you recommendations of good planners. So do your due diligence and find out the credibility of your wedding planner before hiring them.
Next on the list of scams is the wedding venue scam. All right, so you want to beware of wedding venues that are giving you these deals that are just way too good to be true. Comparable places can't even touch the price. Why is that? Because chances are it's not a real deal.
You also have the same thing with barns or farms that put up a tent, and they'll take the pictures and everything and show you what it's going to look like, but it's not actually there when you go and see it. And they want to take your down payments. They ask for more than a third, a half, or 75% in order to secure the date. That way you get it at a discount. There's also the similar scam where the facility is not even built yet. All you're looking at are drawings of what the room is going to look like. But if you pay 75, 80% of your down payment, you're going to get it at this cut rate price because it's not built yet. Watch out for that. Those are probably scams.
I do want to throw one thing in. We did have a facility here in Connecticut that was building, and that's exactly what they did. They showed all these schematics and all these pictures on what it was going to look like. And they weren't a scam, but the problem was their dates got moved on them,
Yes.
on when it was going to be done. So I would suggest never go with a place that's not already built, because construction or getting proper permits in a timely manner mess up the timeline, and it could end up hurting you.
Right. So your red flags are there is no information on the facility on the internet, or very sketchy. There are no online reviews. So make sure you look where you can get reviews of venues and make sure they're positive ones. And as we mentioned, that they insist on having you make a high deposit before you even see the venue. It also takes a long time for them to reply. This seems to be typical with most scams, and you need to be cautious because there are some businesses that just naturally just take a long time to get back to you. But if this is a consistent thing that you email or call facility and they're not returning your phone calls, or they return your phone calls a week or so later, there's a red flag. Be careful. And then the final thing is if they change the property name or the management changes after you've looked at it a couple of times and you haven't booked it yet, but now they're changing the management. Watch out. That definitely is a sign that there's a red flag or a possible scam.
Yes, the scam would be going under a different name at that point.
Finally, we have the wedding dress scam, another classic scam where, because of the internet, it has made it so easy to do this. So here's the way the scam works. You go online and you see this absolutely fantastic designer named dress that you couldn't get under $2,000 anywhere else, but you're finding this place is selling online for less than $500. That should be your first red flag. The next thing is that you have to send the entire amount of money to this unknown place online, and they will then send you your dress. That's the scam. They've taken your money up front, and you don't have a dress to show for it because they never send you anything.
This is back to doing things locally. There's someone who's responsible. There's a building. There's an owner. You're dealing directly with the seller. So by dealing with a local vendor specifically, yeah, you may pay more money, but you have a better chance of things coming out just the way you want them that way too. You want to be able to touch and feel whatever you're buying before having to buy it. Deal local. A lot of times you're dealing with the owner. Watch out working with really big companies. That doesn't really work out too well either. Small local stores usually are the best way to go, and you're going to get the best service. It means everything to them to take care of you properly because that's how they live. That's how they pay their bills, by taking care of people.
Yes, there are reputable online shops and sellers that sell designer gowns, but often they're made very cheaply and they're located in China or
China.
some other place that offers subpar products. And most of them don't allow you to have a refund. Yeah, good luck trying to get a refund from China. And if you're dissatisfied, there's really nothing that you can do, and it's out of the US legal jurisdiction. So we come back to it again. As Sal said, shop locally. If it's too good to be true, you have nowhere to go if you're unless you're planning to go into China to get your refund. If you shop locally, you can vet the seller. You can check the contact information. You can go and find out whether that building physically exists. You can check physically whether they have that actual designer dress that you saw on Pinterest or whatever. You can get references. All of this stuff is very, very important because you're going to spend a lot of money in that dress. And if it doesn't come in time, you may have to expend even more to try and get something, locally.
Talk to your vendors. Talk to other family members who've been married recently. Where did they go? This is a good way to find out good places to go at. Word of mouth is the best thing in the world.
That's right, Sal. Word of mouth is the best recommendation. So wedding planning can be cumbersome. However, with the right team of service providers and suppliers, your wedding day will be hassle-free and it'll turn out as you envisioned it. You just have to do your due diligence and get the right team in place. And remember to be on the lookout for those red flags that we mentioned, and also top 3 wedding scams. That's the wedding planner scam, the wedding venue scam, and the wedding dress scam.
You're listening to the Stress Free Wedding Planning Podcast.
So there you have it. We just shared with you the top 3 wedding scams to look out for. You'll know if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And how to spot wedding scam red flags and immediately know how to react.
Now, as you spend the next week planning your wedding, if you want me, Sal, or our community of stress-free engaged couples and wedding experts to answer any wedding-related questions, then join us over in the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Facebook group. Once you're in, go ahead and share your concerns and worries. We'll let you know if you're on the right track or if there's something you should be working on. The link to join us is in the show notes of this edition, or go to Facebook and search for the Stress-Free Wedding Planning Community. Thank you for listening to this edition. If you've enjoyed what you've just heard, leave a review and share with a friend or someone who would benefit from this information. Until next time, it's TTFN. Ta-ta for now.
Remember, a new edition is released every Wednesday, so go to your favorite place to get podcasts and hit subscribe so you get the first alert when it is released. Ciao!
The Stress Free Wedding Planning Podcast is produced and copyrighted by Atmosphere Productions in association with After Hours Events of New England.